nationals, obviously, I have been perusing, covering, looking at, investigating what's happening in Australian politics in relation to the Great Divorce. And I have come to the conclusion that everybody's talking about it. And I often wonder, well, I don't often, I am wondering what is the relevance of all of this and what does it mean for the long term? So, what's happening that you and I should become more and more aware of and we should perhaps think a little bit more deeply about? So, the issue seems to be that this separation and divorce from the Liberal Party and the National Party has not happened for some 82 years, and that they they have been bound together because they've had a mutual obligation, which is to beat the shit out of the Labor Party or any opposition that they could find that is not conservative. And they have been, I must confess, relatively successful at that for all of this time. And so, why now? What is there about this particular time that has made them sort of look at each other and think, well, bugger off, don't need you anymore, you're a waste of space, I'm going to get rid of you because for all these years I've hated your guts and finally I can get rid of you and not feel guilty. And I think that basically that's it. That they don't feel all that much shame in splitting, primarily because in this instance the National Party have almost done better in this election than the Liberal Party. And the Liberal Party have been wiped out, basically, holding only a few seats now. And the National Party are feeling pretty smug because they didn't lose any. So they're looking good. So what does all of this mean? And I love this. I've got to put up this quote from Annabel Crabb, which I've said many many times, and which I think is just so true. And it's this one, and it says, "They've done big things together at times. They've quietly loathed each other for sure." And I think that that is so true. She goes on to say they've fought about the usual things: money, infrastructure, who does what around the house. I love this the way she's relating it to relationships. Whether it's a big deal for one of the kids to be gay, they've stuck together. Also, for the usual reason, which is that neither of them has ever had the stomach for the drop in living standards that divorce would entail. Go, Annabelle. She describes it really well because it is like a divorce. It's like something you just associate with. So people around them, the rest of the country is thinking, oh well, this is kind of like different. How are we going to cope with a national party that's thinking and being independent, and a Liberal Party who's not relying on the National Party, and the National Party not relying on the Liberal Party? How are we going to cope with all of that? It's politically unheard of, and how they're going to form their ministries, even though there'll only be one shadow ministry because they're only allowed to appoint one as the opposition, which will be the Liberal Party. Where does that place the Nationals? What say will they have? When it comes to asking questions, how will they manage that? When it comes to deciding on what legislation should be presented from their side of Parliament, who will present it? Who overrides who? Like, it's just going to be fun. It's just going to be absolute fun to watch. Now, I just did want to show you this, which was uh, the division. And at the moment, the ALP are at 93, Liberal National Party are at 43, and they've still got, some votes to count. Don't know how that happens. I guess they're postal votes. The Greens have one, not Independents 9, which is mainly the Teals, not all of them though, and the Greens have one, and there's been other two, which is key, which is that other dude from up north. So that's the way it looks at the moment. But the interesting thing was that they drag out John Howard every time. The press, for some reason, on Nine, on Sky, all go for John Howard. Interestingly enough, mainly because they think that because now I'm old, so I don't know why I'm saying this, but they think because you're old, you've got some degree of wisdom that you can draw on. I know lots of old people who are just stupid. A lot of young people that are far smarter than a lot of the older people that I know. So, but anyway, they keep dragging out John Howard, which is exciting, to say the least. And former Prime Minister John Howard has damned the coalition split as a stupid move that threatens to deepen the difference between the two parties after Nationals leader David Littleproud made the dramatic decision to ditch the partnership for the first time in 38 years. So there was a period back in 87 or something where they did split for 4 months, so it wasn't that big a deal. Liberal leader Susan Lee insists her party can forge ahead as the federal opposition, despite being left with just 28 seats in this month's historical election wipeout, while the Nationals will sit alone and forfeit higher salaries on a matter of principle after negotiations between the parties reached a deadlock. And so it is. And so they're sort of floundering around now, and it's going to be fun, I think, just to see how this does turn out at the end. Who does... I guess one of the questions will be, who wins the news cycle? Who is going to generate more interest? And will the public fall for it? And this is where the Labor Party, I think, need to be really mindful as to what happens, because the Labor Party can become kind of, I don't know, relaxed, complacent, I guess, not really conscious of the work that they have to do in order to still maintain some sort of popularity so that they can win the next election clearly, which they probably will standing on their hands. But nevertheless, they shouldn't lose sight of the fact that they have an important role to play just in governing, and that they shouldn't focus too much on what's happening with the National Party and the Liberals. They need to sort out their own shit at some particular level. But coalition split leaves Liberals and Nationals without any excuses. David Littleproud's decision to crash the coalition changes everything. Make no mistake, by tossing the most successful political union in Australian history into the thresher, Littleproud's owns and near singular achievement in Australian political history, whereby Barnaby Joyce, Michael McCormack, Warren Truss and almost every one of their predecessors succeeded for the best part of a century. Littleproud has failed. And I guess that'll be Littleproud's legacy. Trashing and leaving the National Party in array, and choosing, I guess, to find ways to do this all on his own. Will he be successful? We do not know. Are we interested in whether he's successful? Well, yeah, we are, because we need to have an opposition who does challenge the government of the time. So let me know what you think about all of this mess in the comment section below. Thank you very much for those people who have subscribed. Now, if you haven't subscribed, I need to remind you, it doesn't cost you anything. Just punch the subscribe button and so on, and follow and share what I put out. I'd really appreciate that as well. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.